minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. This is episode 30, actually. So, each week, sometimes even with these 4-day, holidays and 4-day weekends, I should say, and Mondays, we're really racking up the mileage here on StreamYard. And for you guys, we love doing these things. So episode 30, not as good as 25, but, we keep racking them up. It seems like we're doing 3-4 a week. Mr. Halterman is back with me and much more attentive. We were just talking before. He is in a much better mood today, maybe not a few hours ago, but as we currently speak, he's in a much better mood. A lot of the kinks have been worked out. Kind of give me a rundown of your last 24 hours, whether it's developing the site, trying to get content up, trying to finish up the guide, design, X, Y, and Z. Kind of give us a quick breakdown of where you've been at mentally and physically.
Yeah, so I'm not at the end of my rope, but I'm getting close, right? I'm going on about 3 hours of sleep. Good news is site up, running, everything's good, everything's going well on that. Woke up this morning and nothing was working, but that problem was quickly fixed. I think everything's going well today. Shouldn't have any issues now. If you had some issues this morning, I apologize. Like I said, just things pop up that you just couldn't have guessed. But very little sleep, but yeah, much more attentive mood. I'm definitely more ready to talk about today's races on the Rocket Hour, so that's good. And I'm excited to be back at Oaklawn. Yeah,
exactly. And that's a good segue. Before we do that, usually we had a big rocket launch segment yesterday because all the stuff over the weekend, unfortunately, we don't get a chance to come back on till Wednesday. So it's just one of those situations where we talk about everything on the weekend on Wednesday, or we try to. Obviously, if we can hop on a Monday, we try to do that because it's not too far removed. So there's not too much to talk about today. There are a few side notes. Yes, we are back at Oaklawn, which is really, really exciting. Again, I don't have any true, segments, I guess I should say. It's crazy. Mike yesterday, when he came in, Mike has the ability, just like the rest of us, to come in and change what he wants. He could just type it in. He typed over the rocket launch. I was looking for it, like, oh, here it is. I was like, wait, where's the rocket launch? And I was like, oh, wait, Mike typed over it. So, two things. Yes, we're back at Oaklawn, so make sure you go to the website, racingdudes.com, check out my product. There's already an article up there. Took me a few extra minutes because of the new website, but it looks great. Good to go. Graphics are fantastic. Same process as normal, and hopefully next week it won't be the same process. And luckily for you guys, Aaron and I will be on. We will be on here Monday, not live, but we are going to record a tutorial, and it's going to be the new way where you could purchase, hopefully, knock on wood, my product, and some of the different features and things like that. So if you're not subscribed, do that. If you are subscribed, thank you. And if you're looking to subscribe, this is the place to be. So we are going to do that Monday, maybe Sunday night. We'll see how Aaron's feeling. He's a little run down. So if we could do it Sunday night and maybe get that out there earlier, great. Otherwise, probably Monday around this time we'll come on, just us two, and we'll record it and go through it all. Real quick, though, I know you're going to like this one. Two things. One is my name for the show, which is Hols. It's not Holes. It's Hols. I know how to spell. Holes has an E. The other thing is, I had a conversation with Dr. Miranda, and I just said hello, like just checking in. And she said, "What do you want?" What do I want? I said, "I'm trying to be nice." And her response was, "Shut up." So,
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not going to really go through exactly what was said. I just said hi, and she said yes. And then I said, "I'm just saying hi, trying to be a nice person," and she responded with "shut up." So that was interesting. I guess she was, focusing on her notes for the Devona Dale on Saturday. So I guess I interrupted her. but that led us into a great conversation in all seriousness about Keeneland. And I said, she's in Kentucky, and I said, would you want to go to Keeneland? I've never been before. They have a nice spring meet, and I'd really like to go before Belmont and really picks up. And before I even got a chance to explain why I would want to be going, she said, "Why do you want to go?" And I said, I heard it's really, really nice. I've never been to Churchill Downs either. I'm very, very limited on where I've gone. So she said, "So you want to go to Keeneland first?" I said, "Well, that is the first track that's open that I can go to." Again, I said the other day, maybe getting on and talking about Belmont live. If I could do Keeneland live, that would be awesome as well. Who knows? Maybe Aaron will join me if we can get to Keeneland. It's not too far away. Would you, on air, I'm putting you on the spot, would you have any interest in joining me at Keeneland if we can go?
Yes, but I don't really care about Keeneland or your private messages. Essential Quality versus Jackie's Warrior will be epic. I totally agree. This is going to be one hell of a race. We talked about it a little bit beforehand. Jackie's Warrior, could be loose on the lead against Essential Quality, who is the champ. Kyle, I know you are down at Oaklawn and you're very excited. So chime in if you got the winner picked out yet there, buddy. It's going to be a hell of a race. We've got such a great weekend coming up. You think about it. You've got the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner, and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf winner, all debuting Saturday. Oaklawn has Essential Quality, and then Fire at Will and VQuest going at Gulfstream. So there is a lot of awesome stuff happening this weekend. It's going to be off the hook, Ricky. I'm freaking pumped for it.
Yeah, no, I didn't even realize the comment was up there. Yeah, and we try to hold off as much of the stake stuff as tomorrow, but yes, that is going to be a showdown. I think Aaron and I are probably going to be on the same side if you listened to us yesterday. Real quick, before we get into Oaklawn's card, which is a good one, I just want to talk about my name really, really quick. And this is something that we had talked about yesterday. I talked about hosting. So the name is Hosting One Live Stream. That's the name, HOLS, but I have proof that someone sent me an email yesterday after the show, and I'm going to let you guys read it. And I hope Aaron and maybe even Jared, who's watching, you guys see this. This is the email that I was sent. Great job on the Rocket Hour. I'm reading it out loud. Great job on the Rocket Hour. You should try and convince the dudes to give you a shot hosting this weekend. Love the energy and passion as you bring as a youngster. Good luck this weekend. I was shocked to get that. I'm surprised I was called a youngster. I am 24 years old. I covered up the name just for privacy things, but yes, maybe the traction of me hosting one of these live streams on Saturday is picking up. So keep sending those emails. Who knows? Maybe I will one day, maybe not. So yes, that is what HOLE stands for, but enough of my nonsense. It is time to get into what you guys have been tuning in for, and that's Oaklawn today. It's a fantastic card. Granted, we always say it's fantastic because we love Oaklawn, but nonetheless, it is a good card. And again, here we're going to talk about races 6 through 9, but you could always get all full coverage, things like that at racingdudes.com. So we highly advise you do that. Keep in mind, we are going off of early scratches. We don't have the full scratches yet. Aaron will do his best to kind of update us with rider changes and scratches and things like that. I think the weather is good based on Monomoy Girls' little walk around the track yesterday. If you guys hadn't gotten a chance to see that, make sure you do. As we always do, I will show you guys the entries, and we will start with Aaron, and that will be right here. You guys can see race 6 about 3:38 p.m. That is local time, not my time. That's 4:38. Aaron, I will start with you. It's waiver maiden claiming 20,000 through 16,000 going 6 furlongs on the dirt for 3-year-olds and upward. Kind of saw this race as wide open. I could see your your betting choices kind of suggest the same. Who was your top choice, and why did you think this race was so wide open?
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna make a very small investment on these 4 races to kick off Oaklawn for a couple of reasons. Number one, man, they lost a lot of training time. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Just a lot of time away from the track. They just could not get on the track. Oaklawn's done a great job of getting it ready to roll today, and they had a couple days to at least get over it. But it's it's going to be iffy. This first week will be a little iffy for those horses that have been at Oaklawn that haven't really got in that consistent training pattern. This is definitely a shitty race, right? That we're going to talk about first. There's some bad horses in here. Kyle Clem chimes in, says the weather is great here. That's awesome. I've kind of been looking at some videos from Oaklawn that people have posted, and it does look great. So that's good to know. Good to know. It's going to be a fast track. On top, I went with number 9, Quality Warrior, out of the D. Wayne Lucas barn. This horse taking a tremendous drop in class. Here's something to remember about Lucas horses when they're live and when they're not. Look at the jockeys that he gets. When he gets Ramon Vasquez, his horse is usually that means his horse is usually ready to run and has a shot to win. Joe Talamo was another one. If you see Talamo with a Lucas horse, you kind of know that, okay, this horse can at least pick up its feet a little bit. And that's important with Lucas because he's got a lot of horses that he'll enter that have no shot. This one does. This one kind of reminds me of one we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago on the Rocket Hour, maybe one of the last days Oaklawn ran, where we had a Lucas horse win and capable jockey, low class, taking a drop. So I do like the 9. I think the 5, Jack Loves Nova, is kind of an interesting horse at 6-1. Taking a little bit of a drop here too, as far as talent level. You look at some of the speed figures for this horse, 2-3 races back at Churchill Downs. It's at least competitive. Gets a little bit of a freshening. I don't know. I just thought this horse isn't very good, but at this level, maybe it can compete here. Maybe it can hit the board. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, because I, like you kind of said to open it up, I'm going to play a trifecta box to start this off, 1, 5, 9, and 11. But I like the 9 and the 5 as my top 2.
Yeah, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. A few horses we didn't talk about, they're also eligible, obviously. So here's the bottom half. You talked about a few horses that I'm going to use. I think the angle on D. Wayne Lucas, I'm kind of going with D. Wayne here, not for the reasons you said, even though we're kind of getting to the same conclusion. So I guess in essence, it's the same thing. I put the D. Wayne Lucas horse on top for a few reasons. One, this is going to be a second start off the layoff for the 4-year-old. I think that's important. Anytime you have second off a layoff with any horse, especially maidens, you're kind of looking for reasons to make them positive. If you have a horse that's Knicks Go or pick anyone, I don't know, Charlatan, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. Second off the layout's not as important because they kind of know once they're out there, they need to run. These horses have no idea. They've never crossed the winner's circle unless they've been DQ'd, and I don't think anyone in here has been DQ'd. So they don't really know what the heck they're doing, and they're not all that good. So I think second off the layoff's important. I also think on the muddy track, it's possible that he just didn't take to it. Now, when you get to this level, Aaron taught me this a long time ago, you find yourself making a lot more excuses because these horses just, again, I'll be honest, they're crap. They really are. They're just not very good. It's one of those things where, I don't know. We'll see if this horse is good, but he does have a good point about D. Wayne Lucas and Ramon Vasquez, and he's been following the coach a lot longer than I have. So whatever he says about D. Wayne Lucas, I obviously take into account. A few other horses. You used the 5. The reason I couldn't use the 5 is because I think I learned this from you, or I think this is a collective thought in terms of horse racing. Albert Stahl had this horse, and Steve Asmussen had this horse.
Yeah. Don't
know who Chelsea Moisey is. Sorry, I don't. I'm guessing she will not get this one to improve. But you can say this horse at least had Colby Hernandez and Ricardo Santana, indicating that this horse might be talented. I just think there are a lot of question marks not having run since November. I don't hate her. I just think there are other places to go. The one, I think, did you talk about the one? You used the one. I'm not sure. Yeah, Torrin, I think that's logical. Just dropping into class. I don't have anything else to say. It showed some speed 2 starts out, but this looks like one of those situations where he'll probably show speed just because he's dropping in class. I don't know if he's that fast, but that's one of the angles that we always talk about. Look for more speed when they're dropping, even if they haven't shown it, because they're just naturally quicker, not because they want to be on the lead. The 7 was interesting, and you didn't use the 7. I think that's the one horse that we probably not switched up on. I think the horse's name was Busset Akati. I hope I said that properly. Second start off the layoff in this spot wasn't really good, but I just like that Ricardo Santana's going to get a board. Now, you can make the case that Ricardo's going to get a board for Jason Barkley because Barkley has a nice little string of horses, and that's fine. I wouldn't be able to argue that. But this horse has had Hernandez, Sean Bridgman, and Flo Giroux in his only start. At 8-1, I feel like I know what I'm getting a little bit more than I do with the 5. Jack Loves Nova, and that's more so because I don't think Chelsea Moisley will be able to get that horse to improve. And this is a slight drop in class, a little bit for the 7. I'll throw it to you. Did you Did you think about the 7 at all, or are you just kind of like, I've seen enough of this horse, and he doesn't really look like a true win candidate?
Yeah, I thought about this horse. Jason Barkley, kind of a sneaky trainer at Oaklawn. He will throw one in, and they'll have a big performance from time to time. I like that Santana gets a board. I think it's kind of an all or nothing for this horse. I think the horse wins or it's off the board. Cutting back in distance, that's probably going to be what this horse wants. I don't really blame you for using them. And again, it's kind of like you said, these horses just aren't very good. So you're just kind of looking for angles, and Ricardo's going to pop off the page anytime at Oaklawn. And like I said, Jason Barkley, pretty solid trainer, and at times can pop with a big one. I don't really blame you for using the 7 here. Would not be shocked at all if the 7 won this race. I used the 11. I don't think you mentioned this one. Kind of what you were saying, second time off the layoff, drop down in class. And also, I thought the big key with the 9 that I didn't mention and the 11, and Samich talks about this a lot, and it's a good angle. Early speed in shitty races is always good. And the 9 and 11 look like the 2 horses that do have that early speed. So that was another thing that kind of pushed me kind of towards those 2. Where you look at the 7, I don't know. I think this horse is going to have to come from out of it a little bit. Maybe that was the one kind of thing against the horse.
Yeah, I completely agree. I used the 11 also, and a lot. I've seen this before. Horses off a long layoff, and they unfortunately drop into a race that it's muddy. The problem where you don't scratch for 2 reasons. When a horse has come off that long and you've been waiting this long, you do not scratch a horse if they're ready to run. I learned that lesson a long time ago. Even if you have to put them in a maiden special weight on a muddy track from a maiden claimer, you just get them to run, because literally not having run since 2019, you don't want to wait again. You really don't. So I think we can throw an excuse. And to be honest, it's only a second start. If you look at some of these other horses, the 8 has 2, but even the 5 you brought up has 5. The 1 I talked about has 3. The 7 has 5. So at least maybe on the unknown factor, we'll see. Let's try to dive into a few comments here, and these are really, really good comments. We're going to get to them. Kyle said the weather is great, which that's the best comment we could probably get considering what they've been doing. Dennis said he leaned to the 5s off the claim. He doesn't like to pat. Yeah, talking about blinkers a little bit, and I for me, that's a horse that Aaron used. We'll just talk about him again real quick. Maybe the sloppy track didn't help last time out. This is where he belongs, but I don't know. There are a lot of question marks. There's not a lot there. We have a lot of comments to get to before we move on. So I'm going to try to go through these quick. Aren't pace? Yes, Aaron talked about this. Aren't pace figures the most important, not speed? I don't really personally. I'll throw it to Aaron in a minute. I don't personally play much of a difference between pace and to speed at this. Like, you have pace, you have speed. I talked about the 1. I think the 1 will show more speed because he's dropping out of tougher races.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, I'll throw it to you. Do you really put much of a difference in between into the two different speed figures and pace figures, or are you kind of just like blending it in together like I do?
Yeah, I do take extra importance in maiden claiming or just lower level claiming in general with horses that have early speed, and usually they kind of go hand to hand. The horses with the early speed a lot of times will also earn the best speed figures at these levels, because the horses that are lacking that early speed, they don't have that turn of foot late, and that's why they're at this level. So they go hand in hand, but I think the pace figs are pretty darn important in these lower races.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like, I think Mike Somich said it yesterday. We've always preached it. The lower you go, at least you will be winning the race at some point. When you have a speed horse, even if they are 20-1, I think you have to consider them, because horses just don't pass each other. Someone said I trust Lucas much more than Romans. I think we do too. And then he goes on. Mark goes on to say the 5 is the top pick. I think that maybe I'm missing something with the 5, because Kyle says the same thing. My analysis is the race is the same theme. Yeah, pretty dismal field. I think the card overall is good. Unfortunately, we just started the sequence off with one of the crappier races.
Yeah.
Aren't pace figures most important? We got to that one. How about this? Is interesting. How about a bridesmaid for the 6? Aaron, before I go, I'll throw it to you. This horse is 0 for 11, does have some seconds, and the seconds have come 3 times in a row. One of them at Oaklawn, 2 at Remington Park. I'll throw it to you. At 6-1, what are you thinking with the 6 a little bit?
Yeah, I don't hate it. This horse, for underneath purposes, it makes sense. He's had a ton of chances, so I don't think I play him to win. But yeah, underneath it makes sense. If you followed Oaklawn for a while, Alan Milligan used to be a big-time trainer at Oaklawn. Hell, he won the damn trainer award one year. That's been a while back. He's just faded big time lately, so I don't really trust Milligan. But this is a low-level race, and this is where you see trainers that are kind of not doing well steal one. So, yeah, I don't hate it as an underneath play.
Yeah, I think the horse is improving for me, though. At 0 for 11 at very similar rate. Like, if you can't get it done at Remington Park at 7,500 claimers, sorry, you're not coming to Oaklawn and doing it. That's just me. Again, we'll talk about a horse yesterday that Aaron, kind of walked into the winner circle that I didn't like. So that's fine. That happens. Mark said, I think the 11 will run the 9 into the ground. I do think the 11 and 9 are the two must uses. If you were to go really short here and you felt confident, the 9 and the 11 are probably those. We talked about the 1, 5, and 7 as alternative horses, but I think the 9 and 11 are probably the 2 horses that you can get out of this race with. Dennis says a good sign for the 9 that Ramon Vasquez is not riding for Villafranco, 12 horse. Means he probably had his chance. I think Aaron talked about this, and I'll let him kind of expand on it again. He said when the better trainers get on for the coach, Dwayne Lucas, it's a good sign. Again, Freddie Villafranco's winning at 19%, which is actually a little higher than Dwayne Lucas. But Aaron kind of gave us some light on that, when Dwayne Lucas will get these better riders when he thinks he's got a serious win contender. Aaron, anything you want to expand on, take away from, add to, anything like that?
The only thing I would say, Dennis, I think it's a mixed signal, because we haven't seen Ramon on this horse yet. If you saw Ramon riding the last 2 times and now he's off, but Torres rode the horse last time, rides it again here, and then at Remington, Morales rode the horse. I didn't really know what to think of it. I will say overall, general picture, Ramon is the top rider for that barn. So I don't think it's a good sign in general that he's not on that horse. I don't know, because he's never been on, I don't know if that necessarily means he had the choice or not. But it's never a good sign. You see that barn and it's not Vasquez or Jareth Loveberry. Those 2 guys usually ride for them.
Yeah, that's a really good point to kind of sum up what Aaron said. We haven't seen Ramon Vasquez on either horse, so I don't know if he had a choice. I'm sure he had a choice. Ramon usually does. Well, also at the 9, he's more of an unknown dropping out of maiden special weight races. We've seen the 12, Coach Dan at the 10,000 level, finished 4th. Now he's moving up. So not having ever ridden a horse as a jockey, I'd also take the 9. Nick Seaver says the 1 dropping and switching surfaces makes me interested. Yeah, that's why I think we like the 1 and just dropping out of tougher competition. Nick kind of hit it on the head. And then Kyle, final comment before we have to move on. He goes, Pulich, I think 2 for 39 at Oaklawn in the last 2 years. Yeah, there are going to be negatives pretty much with every horse and every situation because this race, and these runners just aren't very good. I think Aaron and I pretty much hit it on the head. He used the 5 instead of the 7, and I used the 7. But we're pretty much on the same wavelength here. We're going to move on to race 8 because we still have race 7 because we still have 3 more races to get to. There is a scratch, and it's not posted yet. If you guys have been following along or follow Nancy Holtis on Twitter, the 1 Substantial was an early scratch. She basically does early scratches like the day before, basically what she can get her hands on, I'm guessing. And then, the scratches day of, kind of like Andy Serling, Ron Nicoletti, the people who are at the track every day. Mm-hmm. So the 1 Substantial, 3-1 on the morning line is scratched. There are a few others, and that was the morning line favorite. The 10 Something Super is going to be scratched. The 13 and 14, the also eligibles. The 13 Discreet Tiger is scratched, and the 14 Declined is scratched as well. Again, those were also eligibles, but they could have come into this race, and I think Aaron and I would have been all over the 14 Declined, Mike Maker, Flo Giroux. Honestly, might not even be at the track. We have no idea. I'll start here. I thought this race kind of opened up a little bit once Substantial was out. I really, really like Substantial dropping out of allowance races. It would have been nice because Joe Talamo would have had a strong chance to get his first win. Joe Talamo is a really good rider. Unfortunately, things just have not broken his way. Unfortunately, and he's one of those where by the end of this, we could see him in the 8, 9, 10% range. So don't be so quick to fade him quite yet. I'll start with the 12 Lonely Private. I really, really, really liked this horse last fall. Something just fell off with him. I think running at Keeneland and Churchill Downs, those races are tougher, right? So when I didn't talk about this race is 25,000 to 20,000 claimer, 3-year-olds and upward going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I apologize for that. I didn't mention that at the beginning. Those claiming races are just much, much tougher. I would understand the argument if you said, look, his form stinks and he's just going the wrong way. I'm going to go in the camp and say, I think there's going to be more speed here. You could see he kind of gets off to a good start and fades. I don't think he's going to fade here. I want to throw it to you. I'm only going to talk about the 12 because I want to hear what you say about some other horses. So I like the 12 Lonely Private. Aaron, what about you? Obviously, I'm sure you would have used Substantial, so that threw a wrench into things. Which way did you go now, knowing that the morning line favorite's out?
Yeah, it definitely, with Declined and Substantial, definitely 2 horses I was going to use. I just fell on the number 7, Alex's Strike. I think this horse is ready to roll today. It's always a great sign when Steve Asmussen claims a horse for 10,000 and moves it up to the 25K level. That is just a really good sign. Asmussen is not a guy that just needs to, jump up for no reason. So he claimed this horse and he sees something good in it. I also trust that Asmussen will have a horse like this ready to roll. He's a great trainer, and I just think he'll have this horse fit, even though maybe he hasn't been on the track much. Then the other big thing, this horse won by 5 3/4 last time out at the 10K level. So you could definitely sit there and say, sure, this horse, needs to be moved up in class. So all the positive signs of the 7, I put $10 to win on the 7 here. I really don't think we're going to get 6-1, but I'll take 2, 3-1, and maybe that's what this horse's morning line would be if the morning line maker knew the 1 and the 14 were not going to get in the field. So don't take it. I like to take shots at the morning line maker at Oaklawn Park. I won't really take one here. These odds are going to be a little off. I do love the 7. Going to put the win wager on the 7. I think you kind of talked a little bit about the 11. The 3 for me, is a horse that I think will run well here, kind of knocked the rust off last time out in a pretty similar level. It was a 20,000 claimer, now up to 25. Won't be a big difference. Second time out of the Mocat barn. I kind of like that angle. Getting Cabrera back to ride for the second straight time, also a good sign. I think the 3 will have a little bit of say in things, as well as that 11, like I mentioned. But on top, I really like number 7, Alex's Strike, and that'll be where my wager goes.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that we always have a problem with, or at least I shouldn't say we, one of the biggest things I have a problem with is a horse like the 7. The horse is going to take money, right? It's Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana. That duo can go run in Japan and they'll take money. It doesn't really matter. The problem for me, yes, this horse is going to move up, and he deserves to. You win by almost 6 lengths, you're going to move up. It's just one of those situations. Did the freshening, again, I always talk about second off the layoff, so to the theory of last race, he should do better. Was he so good because he had a lengthy layoff and that competition stunk because that field was horrible? Or is he going to get much better over with Steve Asmussen? That's the question you have to ask, because if he's going to get much better, he could wipe this field by another 3-4 lengths. He won't be doing it by 6. I'd be very safe to say he won't be doing it by 6. But could he do it by 3 or 4 and then find himself in a starter allowance next time out? Yeah, he can. My problem is I just have a feeling that layoff against a really, really bad field got you that result. And not that the result wasn't good. It was really, really impressive. Moving up now to not only non-winners of 3 lifetime, but literally doubling the money, or almost 2.5 times the money you were running for, from 10,000 to 25,000, is too big of a jump. This is the one horse that I'm worried about, obviously, not for the connections, but for all the points Aaron just made. Talked about the 3. We didn't talk about the 11. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to do with this horse, because Saffie Joseph Jr. does not bring his best horses to Oaklawn. I think he's been on the record saying that. But if he runs the same race he ran at the 40,000, there's a lot of wording there. So I don't know if you guys can see, depending on how you're looking. It was the waiver claiming 40,000 through 35,000, non-winners of 2 lifetime with no tag. So basically what that means is if you're in for the waiver, which I believe Oaklawn's one of the few racetracks that actually has a waiver, you could actually run in a claiming race and you can't get tagged.
Yep.
And that's not what this race is. But for example, last race had a waiver made in claiming, and Aaron's 5 horse that he liked, Jack Loves Nova, was, I think, the only horse not in for the tag. Again, Oaklawn's one of the few. Usually if you're in a claiming race, there's a tag. And sometimes you can have a weight allowance if you're older, things like that. Non-winners of a race since a certain amount. So yes, this horse was not in for a tag, which meant they wanted to protect him, which I think is important. That's always, if that horse is not in for a tag, it usually means the connections, the trainer, whoever, someone still wants him. So that's why I gave this horse consideration. Unfortunately, they could lose him at 25,000 today, but I just thought that was a horse to keep an eye on. Obviously, Aaron is going straight 7 win bet. We can get to a few comments here. Again, keep sending in your comments. We love talking about it, interacting with you guys. But to Aaron's point, we don't give any crap to the morning line odds maker. The morning line favorite was substantial, was out. I mean, we could say maybe the 6 would have been 4-1, but substantial was the overwhelming favorite. And I don't think anyone did wrong by making substantial the morning line favorite. And fortunately didn't get a chance to make a change. Mark, we'll go through these real quick, and then, Aaron, obviously jump in, don't jump in, whatever you want. The 11 and 12 going to show some speed. I used them with the 3 and 7. I think the 7 is going to be the horse to sit off. The 7 will need the 11 and the 12s to go after it, because this is 6 furlongs, and outside of those 2, the speed looks really, really weak. What are you thinking? Do you think the 7 can be tactically placed, or will he have to come from the clouds to kind of overtake this group?
Yeah, that'll be the big question. If he has to come from the clouds, I still think he's going to be okay because of kind of what Mark says. I definitely see a lot of speed a lot of going head to head in this race, and I think it will set up for a closer pretty well here. And we're talking about the 25K level, so you're a couple of rings up the ladder compared to the last race we were talking about where we didn't want closers. There's horses that are capable, so maybe with Asmussen they try to sit him a little closer, but I think the race sets up for the 7 regardless.
Yeah, again, scratches have just come out from Nancy, so I don't know if Aaron's working on them. I'll try to update it as we go and try to go in the middle. Kyle agrees with Aaron 100%. I think he was talking about the 7 horse. It's going to be tough to get by the 7. I'm willing to take a shot against the what I would assume, honestly, at this point might be the post-time favorite. It wouldn't be surprising. That's why Aaron said he would take 2-1, 3-1. I think that would be a nice price on the 7. Darren chimes in and says the number 1 has speed figures for this level and pace figures within a couple lengths of par. The 1 is scratched, isn't right? I didn't make okay. I just the pace figures seem light on the 7. Okay, Darren, maybe there was another horse you were talking about. Yeah, I think it's tough to go by his pace and speed figures when you have a complete change in barn switches, right? So, for example, in New York, if you go from Orlando Noda to Rudy Rodriguez, I think that's pretty comparable because those are claiming horses. Maybe one of your better horses might jump up into like a starter optional claiming, but like for the most part, they're not stakes horses. Very few trainers, especially in New York, will have good claiming runners and good stakes horses. The best I could think of is like a Linda Rice, because Chad Brown, if you have a claimer 20,000, he'll get rid of him. He just doesn't need them in the barn. Same thing with Todd Pletcher. Like if they want hundreds of claimers, they could do it. They just don't need those types of horses. So yeah, I think, to Aaron's point, I saw him nod his head. It's tough to go by what he was doing with Randy Matthews because he might be a completely different runner with Steve Asmussen. Aaron, I kind of assume you're on the same wavelength with me there.
I think it's a possibility. It may just be that's what that horse likes to do, and that's what he is. But I do think it's a possibility. We're not going to see this horse on the lead or anything like that, but I think it's a possibility that he's a little bit more forwardly placed today. Yeah, and I agree with your overall thought process. When you see that barn change, you kind of know what those trainers like to do with their horses. So I think we'll see him a little closer than normal today.
If Ron McQuet was in the race, I always look at his horses closely. Patient trainer. Yeah, he does a really good. Sometimes training is about placing your horses properly. If you have a bigger barn, you could, do that because you're going to get paid. Some of the smaller barns, they have to take shots because they just don't have as much stock. And then a quick comment: the 11 used to be with service. That. I don't think that really concerns me. We've seen him run a ton of races without service at this point. If this was like first service, second service, fine, but that was a long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't concern me. There are some scratches in race 8, substantial ones that we are going to get to now. Let's attack the back half of the card here. It's race 8. Again, Nancy just came out the scratches, so I'll give those to you real quick. Race 8, the 4, 5, and the 8 are going to be out. So I'm sorry, what?
I said, oh boy.
yeah. So some legitimate scratches here, and my top choice. I'll talk about the 1 horse. I used the 4 and 6, so I'm not obviously going to do
hold on, let me interrupt you. That is for early scratches on 226. The 4, 5, and 6 are 4, 5, and 8 are definitely not scratched out of this race. There's no scratches in the 8th race at Oaklawn today. You're looking at early scratches for 226.
You know what? I apologize. We got to stop doing these early scratches the day before. That's my fault. I will take full responsibility for that. But I was just refreshing. Okay. She gave out the scratches. Okay. There we go. It's underneath. I apologize for that, everyone. That's my fault. That's me trying to be a little too quick. There are no scratches for the 8th race. So scratch everything I just said. Well, not literally, but figuratively. Scratch what I said. Aaron, I'll throw it to you. This is an allowance race, but I'll make the case that some of these runners could be in non-graded stakes competitions. This is allowance for 4-year-olds and upward, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Aaron, I'll start with you. Is Fastly going to run away with this field of 4?
Yeah, let me take a breath there because I panicked for a second.
I apologize. Yeah, Dennis is right. The youngest guy of the group needs glasses. What happens is, on the live stream, I'm trying to, on one page on like Safari, I have the scratches, and I'm trying to go back and forth. I apologize. Right under the other tweet was the scratches for today, and then I didn't see that. Yeah, Kyle says I busted through the gate. Yeah, maybe I'm due for a big performance now. Again, I apologize. There are no scratches in this race. I think we covered all the scratches for races 6 and 7. Aaron, when you get a deep breath, walk us through the 8th race because I'm also frazzled now.
Yeah, I was panicked to all get out. Look, this is definitely the best race on the card. No doubt about it. Your original question, you think Fastly's going to run away with it? Yeah, I think Fastly's got a really good shot to win. That's where I put the win wager. I went $10 to win on number 4, Fastly. I think there's 2 big keys to this. Number 1, we're going to get a fast track. I think that's good. Number 2, this horse just needs to get off to a better start. There's really no other way to put it. What's really encouraging for me with Fastly, the horse broke terribly in that last race, and the horse has always been forwardly placed, but broke bad, was 10th, was 9th, was 8-9 lengths behind, still closed up to run second. And that kind of shows me the horse knows what he's supposed to do, right? So let's get off to a better start. Let's get a little more forwardly placed today, and I think we can win. So I definitely think Fastly is the most likely winner of the group. I also think you might get that 9-5 price because I'll just quickly go through, like the number 3 bank, Asmussen Santana. We talk about how they get bet. They're going to get bet here. The horse won last time out. I know it's a long layoff, but that horse will still take some money. And the 6, Thomas Shelby, who's my 3rd choice. There you go again with Diodoro and Cohen. People are betting that horse at Oaklawn as well. So there's 2 horses right there that will take money. But in the end, I kind of just think Fastly is better than those horses. So if we can get that 9-5 price, I will happily take it. Let's just get him out of the gate a little better today, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. The question about breaking is a fair one because we had never really seen him break that poorly. It does say steadied early. The pace was extremely, extremely quick. But if you look at the race 2 back at Churchill Downs, which is definitely much more speed favoring than Oaklawn. Mm-hmm. I mean, Oaklawn has been speed favoring, but Churchill Downs is like, if you're not in what I like to call the tier A, B, and C, if you're not at least in tier B, forget about it. Like you can almost throw out every closer. No joke, you need like a Zenyatta type. I'm like dead serious, like an allowance runner dropping in for a 10,000 claimer. That's about it. So
if you're going to be on one turn, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Especially when you go one turn, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's insane. 40-1 on the lead looks like 2-1 on the lead. That's just the way Churchill Downs has been playing, most recently. Again, that was a long time ago. So, yeah, Fastly on the lead at Churchill Downs was going to be tough. And he should have won at 3-5. And he did. It held late. I don't love that comment. Obviously, this horse is 6 furlongs. There's really nowhere. You maybe can get 5.5, but there's no like 5 furlong dirt sprints really anywhere. I know Gulfstream will do like 4.5, but that's like for maidens usually, and like debutante, like 2-year-olds. I don't know. It's weird because people are going to say he can close. I don't think he really wants to close. I think it was a steady start, and that just kind of forced the hand. Let's not blame Joe Rocco for that, right? If a horse is going to steady early, it doesn't really matter who's aboard. I've always preached this. The rider's only as good as the horse that he's on top of. Male, female, older, younger, colt, gelding, filly, mare, doesn't matter. Surface, distance, doesn't matter. If you're on crap, your performance is going to be crap. It is what it is. So the fact Joe Rocco's even able to keep him together on a muddy track and close was impressive. If he runs anything back to any of those maiden special weight races, even it was nice to see progression. You talked about Bank. I didn't even love that race last, and that was on May 2nd. I mean, yeah, maybe this horse gets better as a 4-year-old. That would be the case you would make, right? That this horse is just going to get better as a 4-year-old, but I don't have any evidence of that. That's just me guessing, and that's fine unless you have Steve Asmussen like first time 4-year-old stats. I don't even know if you could find that, but if you can, please share it with us. I'd love to know. I did go to the 6, Thomas Shelby, a little bit. I think this is the horse that actually looks like he could sit the trip. Robertino Diodoro has his best horses at Oaklawn. We know that. Can he soak up pace pressure? And what I mean by that is, can he be close enough and still not be used? Because sometimes, Aaron, you've talked about this before, closers need to sometimes use some speed early just to stay within touching distance. Mm-hmm. Sometimes closers are good enough where they don't have to use any pressure and can be not too far back. Sometimes they really have to be pushed, and which eliminates some of their closing ability. Can the 6 stay close enough? I don't know. But I will say Diodoro does do a good job. Maybe this horse has just been training really well. Maybe second start off the layoff. Did you consider the 6 at all?
Yeah, I definitely think the 6 is the big challenge here for the 4, and I think your points are pretty valid. It's to me, it's just a matter of can the 4 get out ahead of the 6, or will the 6 be right there where that horse can strike and pick up the pieces? I really think it's kind of a rider's race a little bit here. But yeah, the 6 is very logical, and these connections, they dominate here at Oaklawn. They're off to for them a slow start, but don't get it confused. These connections are really good. So yeah, the 6 is definitely one. I mean, I see that you played the 4 and the 6. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we know what Asmussen is, right? But Aaron talking about Brett Calhoun. Brett Calhoun's really good. It's 9 races in. He's 0 for 9. He's not 0 for 48. It's 9 races in. Let's take it easy. Let's get through a few comments. Yeah, Jay Will goes, it was like we were back to the drawing board. Yeah, I almost sent us everyone to the drawing board. I almost just cut us off live and messed that one up. Marco's 467. He's talking about the 7-1 for Richie. Yeah, that's the horse I had in third. Mark, to be honest, you kind of answered your own point. I have nothing else to add, but this is a massive, massive step up for this horse. Mm-hmm. This is an allowance race, but I think the 6, you can make the claim like waiver claiming 50 isn't that much worse because it's one of the higher claiming races you're going to have. Yeah, in for a tag, but Diodoro knows what he's doing. Even if he repeats this race, to be honest, the 7 we're talking about, mm-hmm. I don't think 1 for Richie's getting it done, right? Aaron, you agree?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 7. No, that's one that I didn't really think about playing.
Yeah, and I want to touch on this point. Dennis gave us, I think, like every horse in the field. Okay, he's boxing in exacta. 2, I think that's 2 or 3 full. I don't even know. I'm not sure what Dennis is saying here. I'm going to try to break this down. Maybe, Aaron, you could help me out. We all like the 4, but the 2 beat the 4. Granted, it was the 4's first race. I'm not making a case for the 2 outside of that Randy Matthews is a good trainer. Like, seriously, I don't know. If we're talking about claiming races, that was non-winners of 2 races lifetime for that the 2 was coming out of. Mm-hmm. The 6 is coming out of waiver claiming 50 with no condition. So that those races are drastically different. The more conditions you put in a race, the weaker the field is. Take that with you until you're 2,400. That is true. That will never change. The more conditions, the weaker it is. Just like you see like state bred races, they're always weaker than open because that means they're limiting you to state bred, whether it's Florida, Arkansas, New York, Texas, California, whatever it is. Yeah, the 2 maybe the 2 sits a good trip too off the lead, but it's one of those where I think if they're going fast, the 2 is not good enough to keep up with the 4, right? Aaron, is that kind of where you are? I guess 12-1 is a juicy morning line, but not gonna get me at least.
If you want to, I mean, if you just want to throw it underneath an exotics, I wouldn't hate you for it. But yeah, I don't. I think the 2 is the most likely speed, and then kind of fade a little bit. I think the 2 will give you a thrill, and coming off a layoff, it should be amped up, ready to roll. But in the end, I'm skeptical that the 2 will hang around.
Yeah, we love these comments. These are some of the most comments that we've had in a long time. So thank you guys for that. We love it. We don't mind going over the hour. Actually, we go over the hour every time. I don't know why it's called the Rocket Hour. It should be like the Rocket 80 minutes or something like that. Love the 7 stepping up above with pause. Sometimes, all right. Love the 7 stepping up with above par. Okay, got it. Pace figures, speed figures. Yeah, maybe we're overlooking that, but I think Aaron and I, that looks like this looks the typical bounce race, right? Like that effort last time out was nothing, not even close to what he had been running. I'll get beat by this horse. Kyle goes, call me crazy. Bandit Point, the Arkansas bred, can close big time. Bandit Point is the 1. Okay. I'm keying him in 3rd and 4th. Aaron, I don't play tries. Once in a while, I'll hammer home an exacta. I'll throw it to you because this is your type of question. Tries, supers, maybe even an exacta. I know you want to win wager on the 4, but if you were to go the trifecta route, does the 1 make your ticket? And if so, where would you look to place him?
I think Kyle is showing that he himself is an Arkansas bred and showing a little bit of bias towards the old Arky bred in here. Look, I like Arky breds when they're facing their own kind, but outside of that, no, I don't bet them in open races, so I can't endorse the 1. But good on you, Kyle. I hope that horse gets up there for you. But I will not be having the 1 on my tickets here.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I didn't include the 1. I don't really love the 1. The problem with Aaron brought up a great point. Arkansas bred against Arkansas bred is fine. Arkansas bred versus open, it's not the same versus New York bred versus open, or Florida bred versus open, or a Kentucky bred. It's definitely a step below. Mm-hmm. Great point that he brought up. He has a ton of good points, but that's just another one that he brought up. Dennis is clarifying it. All he meant by his bet when we tried to give it out was the exacta wheel, basically saying the 4 has to run 1st or 2nd with a ton of horses underneath. The problem is with the bet, and I think this is why Aaron did it. And before we move on, I'll let Aaron touch on this point. You can easily get a 4-6, 4-3, and you might be losing money. That's the problem here. Is that why you kind of stayed away, Aaron? I'm throwing this to you now. Is that kind of why you stayed away? Because if you get a 4-3 or a 4-6 or something like that, you might lose money or barely break even.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying now. Yeah, I always like to make when I bet an exacta, I really like it to just be 2 horses. Sometimes 3 if the prices are okay, but I don't get into a whole lot of wheeling and that kind of thing. I just don't. So yeah, I mean, I would be a little worried if that 4 hits the board here. You're not going to want to play. You're not going to want to have a lot of money tied up in the exacta.
Yeah, that's a fair point. The only time I'll ever I'll use 1 horse and then I'll go all for 2nd. So say there are 10 horses, and I'll do a $2 exacta. Let's say it was 1 with 2 through 10. The only reason I'll do that sometimes is if I think it's a wide open race, but I have an incredible opinion, which means I could have a crazy long shot hit the board for 2nd. But if I have like a 3 or 4 to 1 in like a maiden claiming race, then I think it makes sense to hit like an all button. But in a race like this, in a short field where it's going to be dominated wagering wise, probably the 4. I just don't know. Like to Aaron's point, this is one where you probably just want to hammer home an exacta. Whether you could, if you wanted to do that, maybe 4-3, 4-6, that could maybe where you make some money. You could do like a $15, $20 exacta and do it that way. But I'm with Aaron. This looks like a win bet to me. Mark goes, the exactors only go to the favorite, like essential quality over hot rod. Charlie, yeah. I mean, that's one of those things, right, where it's like, or if you have like a dominating favorite. And then sometimes, what I call a 30, where it's like you pick your stuff up, walk around 30 minutes. It's really stressful till the next race. Sometimes if you think there could be a 6-7 length winner, you don't know who's going to get second, because at that point, anyone can grab second. So it's the same thing where it's like, if you just think there's a dominating horse, I think Caddo River was one of those examples. Like if Caddo River you think is that much better and Cowan maybe sucked up second, you could have gotten a big price home. I think that was like the Smarty Jones, right, Aaron? Something like that. Right, to Mark's point, one of those races like that where you think anyone can grab second because the distance between the first and second is so great. Let's go to the 9th race. Really quick, I'll announce the race and then we'll talk about it. This is a good one. Maiden special weight for 3-year-old fillies going 1 1/16 miles on the dirt. This is the normal finish line. Again, not Arkansas. Oaklawn's a little weird. They have 2 finish lines. It's usually at the mile where they end at like the 16th pole. I don't have anything to say. I don't have any strong opinions. But what I will say, and this is a true sentimental note, Stop Charging Maria was one of my favorite horses. So I had to use Still Charging Maria. And I Stop Charging Maria, I believe, was a Pletcher filly and mare. She was fantastic. So there's sentimental value for me. But real quick, not only was the race good, she proved that she could handle the distance. It says something to me that a horse can go over a mile, again, a mile, 8 furlongs and 70 yards. But on debut, that's really, really impressive to me, and do it very, very professionally. She never really lost ground. And I think that's really, really important. And granted, I'm talking up a 5-2 morning line, like the horse is 20-1, but I think this is a horse. I went 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll get to why I did that in a minute, and then I'm going to throw it to Aaron. But I think this is one that if you were like, I want to hammer a win bet home, or this is the one that I'm saying, take a deep look as a possible single in a pick 4 sequence if you really want to boost your prices. The reason I didn't is because they all kind of showed some improvement in that group, 2, 3, 4, 5. None of them have run more than 2 races. The 2, for example, we don't know what she's going to be in 2021. The 3 class reunion is going to stretch out, and based on the progression with the 3, again, Brett Calhoun, David Cohen, good connections. Curlin should do much better going longer here. It's one of those, and 4 or 5 wide into the turn, that was a legitimate comment. She is going to do probably better going longer. So that's one. The 4, Smarmy, I don't know what the heck a Smarmy is, but okay. Mile on the muddy track, I'm throwing that one out. I don't know what to make of that one. Maybe she just doesn't like the mud. And then Marion Francis with Brad Cox, Flo Giroux. Good luck keeping that one off the ticket. So I made a case for the 2, but I think 2, 3, 4, 5 is the only way I'm going to get out of this one safely. Aaron, it's all you now. What are you thinking here? This race looks kind of wide open in terms of those 4 top contenders in my book.
Yeah, I think it is going to come down to 2, 3, 4, 5, and the problem with that is they're the short prices. So I couldn't really make an exotic work here, no matter what I tried to do. So what I did was just put a $5 win wager on the 3 class reunion because it's the biggest price of the 4 in that kind of that group. I don't love this horse. I don't love coming. One race with Baffert, and it's like, that's it. And we're going to go to Calhoun. That's not a great sign, but this horse should improve going long. I don't think 5-1 is what this horse should be. And I just think this horse can kind of run a better race, turn the tables a little bit today. So I really don't have a strong opinion here. I'm looking forward to watching the race, but I'll take a small stab with number 3 class reunion. This horse had a lot of hype before that debut for Baffert. We were hearing some good things about it. So maybe she'll kind of, get back to it. I know she's had a steady workout pattern at Oaklawn. Of course, now it's been interrupted, but she has some works over the track, so that's good. If you put a gun to my head and said who was going to win this race, forget about the odds. The 2, I agree. The 2 probably is the one with the best chance to win. But I'll take a little $5 win wager shot with the 3 here.
Yeah, real quick, Dennis brought up a good point. Smarmy is out. The 1 and the 4 are scratched out. So that brings me to, I think the 2, 3, and 5. These comments aren't in order, but because that's relevant, I'll get back to some of the other comments. Who would I throw in? Anyone else? Yeah, I would consider the 7 Trumpet Lily, and this is why. Her second start much better and wasn't that much worse than Smarmy. And I made a legitimate case for Smarmy when she ran at Indiana Grand. Then the next time stretching out, I don't really know. Again, it's the first time over a muddy track stretching out, going 8 furlongs here at Oaklawn. I mean, I don't know. How do we know how these horses are going to take the mud? The other ones, the 5 Marion Francis, we don't know stretching out. The 6 Class Reunion, we assume with Curlin, being the sire, that the stretch out will be okay. But again, I'm taking a shot. And the 2, Still Charging Maria, was good going a mile 70. We know the distance shouldn't be an issue. But that was at Fairgrounds against definitely, I would say, a weaker field. So I think they're just question marks. So if you wanted to try a price, I think the 7 Trumpet Lily would be the one to use. Aaron's going with the 3 Class Reunion. Yeah, I'm looking at this one, and I just don't know if we're going to get 5 to 1. For all the points we brought up. Luckily for us, though, no one is going to be putting a gun to Aaron's head. We will not be doing that. And Aaron was talking about the Baffert, angle before. Baffert's going to get hyped with any young runner for the most part. But that is interesting to note. Let's see if there are any comments here. Let's see. Someone said Nick has a fantastic comment. It was this. I'm not sure. Oh, this is before. Okay, here we go. So this is earlier. So let's get into some of these. The 1, 5, and 9 are coming out of the same race. The winner was Windmill. Is coming back, and the Dixie Belle Sunday Windmill looked great on 123. So 1, 5, and 9. This is the way I'm looking at it, right? The 5 Marion Francis coming out of that Windmill race, stretching out for the first time. The 9 Princess Leia, I assume, or Leah, but I would assume Leia, stretching out for the first time to a mile. Yes, went 7 furlongs. I don't have any evidence that the 9 is going to run a better race than the 5. So granted, yeah, that race is strong. But I guess in terms of maybe the long shot, if you were to exclude Trumpet Lily, I think she's more of an unknown than the 9 Princess Leah. I know you used the 3, but I guess, Aaron, if along with this logic, if you like the 5, you kind of like the 9 a touch. I guess that's what the comment is, right?
Yeah, I could see kind of where you're coming from that notion. I just think if you use the 5, do you really need the 9? That's kind of where I landed on. Sure, you're going to like the 9 a bit, but if you like the 5 beat the 9 pretty easily last out. So I would just use the 5.
Yeah. Nick said the first time anyone has said that before. I'm not sure.
Talking about this. Nick has a fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, Nick, that was a good comment. I mean that was, again, if you're in that camp of trying to find a long shot, yeah, I think the 9 Princess Leah, isn't. I just went with the 7 over the 9, but I think you can make the case for the same long shot. I just don't have any evidence. We're gonna recap, but Aaron, kind of give us your breakdown of the sequence, races 6 through 9, what you're looking forward to, one of those situations in terms of the first race stinks, but they definitely get better as we end the sequence. What are you thinking here, race 6 through 9?
Yeah, so 15911 trifecta boxes started off in race 6. A bad race, but I think a decent betting race. Kind of some predictable ones in there. Hopefully, the 9 and 11 get out to the lead. Race 7, $10 to win $10 to win on the 7. I think this horse moving up in class for Asmussen off the claim. That's a very good sign. Race 8, $10 to win on the 4. Let's hope the 4 just breaks well today. And then race 9, no strong opinion, $5 to win on the 3, $37 total investment. Basically here with the $37, I'm just kind of taking it easy today. Let's see how the track plays and see how these horses come back from not being on the track for a while.
Yeah, Aaron has a good point. We talked about work patterns yesterday. Your guess is as good as mine. Some of these runners don't have a recorded workout. Yes, they've been on the track, but it could have been a light jog a couple times. It could have been some gait work. We really don't know what these horses, again, I said yesterday, try to maybe focus on horses that are coming off of long layoffs because that's what it could be a nice transition to give you an idea of how they might perform. On the other side, keep in mind some horses that maybe are making their 2021 debut, this might affect them as well. So obviously just keep all these things in mind. We're throwing a lot at you. For me, I went 1, 7, 9, 11 in race 6. I think you can make a case. I think the 9 and 11 are going to be the toughest, but I do like the 7 a little bit. And I think the 1 Torin is just one dropping in class. We talked about it earlier. Could make some sense. Then I went 3, 11, 12, race 7. And again, with the 1 substantial being out, I think there are a lot of ways you can go. I went logically. Keep an eye on the Safi Joseph 8-1 morning line. I don't think you're going to get that. Then I went with the 4 and 6 in race 8, and that's Fastly and Thomas Shelby. I think Fastly's the horse to beat, and Thomas Shelby could just be the one that's picking up pieces late. They're both going to be short prices, and I think you could single Fastly if you were comfortable doing that. And then the last one, I have 2, 3, 4, 5. I will change that after I'm done here. It's going to read 2, 3, 4, 7. You can easily get away with not including the 7. I just think that's a long shot because there's some other questions marks with some other runners. So yeah, we're going to fix that now real quick, just make that slight adjustment. And we're going to recap yesterday. I was actually working on some stuff in the apartment, and then Aaron says, look at Gulfstream or something along those lines. So I knew that he was right about Mr. Tip. Maybe Aaron got a tip. Who knows? Maybe he didn't want to share that with us. Maybe he should. No, I'm kidding. We're going to just recap real quick yesterday. We'll start with race 7. Aaron, Battle Cry. What did you think yesterday about with this one?
Yeah, good performance, right? You have to say that right out of the bat. Anytime you win by 2 lengths, no matter who you're up against, what race it is, it's a good performance. So yeah, really good race from Battle Cry. I thought Cozy Valentine ran pretty well, but at the same time, I kind of thought that horse should have finished the deal being on the lead. And then, yeah, Battle Cry just comes flying. Really nice win, right? I mean, that caught the eye. I know a little bit of a lower level, but that kind of caught the eye a bit.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. A lot of these races don't catch the eye, but this one did. We did, and I'll scroll this down. If you guys didn't get a chance to listen to us yesterday, there was a massive scratch. The 3 include the Beast. That was the horse that we were kind of all over, and I went 3-4. So, yeah, you guys can kind of come on here and say I didn't get this one right. This horse literally scratched 2 minutes before the race. So, and I think that would have been the horse that would have been the favorite. Mike Thomas talked about not loving the 4 Sunshine City. But Battle Cry was the horse that I had in 3rd. I'm not going to sit here and say I got the winner because I went from 3-4 to 4-7. That's not the way it works, unfortunately. Unfortunately, your ticket just gets cut in half because this was the beginning of the sequence. Pete Aiello said it yesterday. If you're in the middle of a pick 5 sequence or the Rainbow 6, you get the post-time favorite. The post-time favorite, if you already have it, you get it now twice. That's the way it works. This was the beginning of the sequence, so when I went 3-4, I think my ticket was maybe like $48. It just goes to $24. So you don't get the post-time favorite before the sequence starts. Dennis says, I'm more disappointed and you using the 4 over the 7. You know, Dennis, you're not the first person to be disappointed in me. No, I mean, yeah, I didn't read that one right. But again, if I knew I really, really liked. I'm not gonna sit here and just fall on the sword because I like the 3 more than the 4. So I was kind of stuck with my second choice. Once the 3 came out, I thought it was one of those situations where it's not 1-2. Now it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like the race really opened up at that point. So yeah, sure. I'm not gonna include. I was not going to make a $72 ticket because I knew the 3 was going to be scratched. Let's go to race 8. This was won by Noble Indy. This was the race that I got wrong from the standpoint of the speed really played out well. We talked about it yesterday. You liked High Noon Rider. I don't think High Noon Rider was bad coming from where he came from. The only horse to make up significant ground. That's fair to point out. I almost got caught, though, by the 3, Pioneer Man, the Woodbine runner. I'm still undefeated. Horses coming from Woodbine or winning on the turf. I shouldn't say undefeated because I'm not making money off of it. Keep putting your win money, folks, into that into those Woodbine turf runners. It's gonna one of these days, maybe by 2023, it'll work out for you. But no, Noble Indy was good. Luis Saez, Pletcher, speed on the turf. Aaron, anything you want to add before it's a quick recap?
He just kind of found that groove and found that group that he needs to be up against, right? I mean, this horse has a lot of class. We've seen that. But for this race, he just found it, and he just kind of took over at the top of the stretch. Good win. We'll want him back if he's at this level, but he's kind of also proven he has trouble when he moves up.
Yeah, it's this is one of those horses that, what this horse reminds me of? Like a Froster Frippery, where he just belongs at those starter allowance, like 10 or starter, whatever it is, optional claiming, whatever, 10,000 through like 15, 16,000, whatever it is. You move him up, he's not good enough, really. He'll be competitive, but probably not good enough to win. Noble Indy's kind of in the same camp. If you move him up, we don't know how much we want him, but at this level, he's going to be a short price. It's one of those where maybe the best thing you could do is just keep making win bets moving forward. Wow. Race 9, this was the one that Aaron sent me the text, Mr. Tip. All right, Aaron, go for it. Mr. Tip, almost 11-1. I don't have anything to add. I didn't include Mr. Tip. I didn't like him. I liked a Wickster's Dream, who was literally, unfortunately, collapsed and banned off. Hope everything's okay with Wickster's Dream. And then I like the 4 Casualistic, who's okay. But it's all you. You were right. Mr. Tip, 3-length winner. What were you thinking there? How happy were you to get that price home at 11-1?
Yeah, I mean, the pace just fell apart. And sometimes you handicap something and you think, okay, the pace is going to fall apart. And then it's like a lonely leader and they're going 24 and 48. Well, here, it just fell apart. They just went really fast. And when that happened, he was the closer in the race. I mean, it's just simple as that. This horse can close. He needs pace to run into. He got it. He got a really good trip. Did I think he would win by 3? No. But he got it done, man. He looked really good. Looked kind of like the first race talked about. There was some flash with this horse, but I think more so than anything, it's just they were walking home and this horse was closing.
Yeah, the first quarter was 23 flat. Again, the way you call times, they're in fifth of seconds, right? So 23.18 is 23 flat. Then for the first half was 46 and 1, 46.27. They actually went a little quicker. Yeah, you could see in the splits, they went from 23.18 to 23.09. So they actually, the first quarter to second quarter to the half was even a little quicker. So yeah, it just set up perfectly for Aaron. That's when you know as a handicapper, you're getting into the groove things, because Mr. Tip is not the most talented horse.
Right.
But so if it was a closer that was talented, you get a pat on the back, which is like, all right, fine. You did the right thing. Aaron was able to pick a horse that's not as talented, but just saw a race that you could find a long shot. Wickster's Dream didn't really look all that comfortable anyway at the very, very, very beginning. So I'm not going to say that Wickster's Dream was going to win. And Casualistic had a chance, 3-wide bid and flattened out. So all credit to Aaron Halterman. I'm surprised we didn't go back to Gulfstream after that one. He's probably getting hot. But no, we couldn't pass up. I shouldn't say opening day, return day at Oaklawn. The final race, race 9. I thought this race was wide open. We like the 5, Kasim. The 4, Canstaros, whatever. That was the first time on the turf, but remember that was like a 14th length winner. So, but shocker, it was Irad Ortiz and the one Flamini. I have nothing else to say. I mean, Irad did a great job kind of buying time. The first quarter was 21-1, and then pretty quick half. And he was just able to pick up the pieces, and it even says late surge at the end. Anything you want to add other than Irad is riding as well as anyone right now?
Of course, freaking flying, right? I mean, man, the horse just flew home. It was really impressive. Yeah, you hit it. Irad is the man right now. He's just on another planet, and this horse. This is another one. Again, we didn't really talk about like strong races going into tomorrow, but you can't watch this and say that this horse wasn't pretty flashy. This was a really nice performance.
Yeah, we're going to end it here because we have to catch our breath for tomorrow because we have tons of stakes action. We will have Oaklawn again tomorrow as well. We will recap if we hit a nice ticket. I'm telling you guys in advance, if we don't hit, we will not have time to recap. Literally, it would be a 2-hour show because we have legitimately 10 stakes races to go over, like real stakes races, not like state bred, like legit stakes races with implications for the rest of the year. And some of them, Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown implications as well. So we will not be recapping unless we hit. If we hit, we'll be more than happy to extend the show and kind of walk through the process. It's been another great show. It was nice having Aaron back. Not full form physically because he was here yesterday, but mentally you could just tell how engaged he was today. And that's the way we like to have. Mark says, where's Giroux on Saturday? Aaron, is there? I didn't even think about that, to be honest. He's not only 2 mounts. I think Joel Rosario's coming in. I don't think maybe that. I'm not really sure. Honestly, we'll have a Mark. Please hop on tomorrow and repeat that question because we will not only will we keep that in our mind, we'll probably have a better answer for you because that just completely caught me off guard. Yeah, that is weird that he only has 2 mounts. I briefly took a look at the Oaklawn card for Saturday this morning when I woke up. But I didn't really notice it. Like I wasn't too detailed. Aaron, is there anything you can share with us? Hopefully we have a better answer for Mark tomorrow. But 2 mounts on a big day like that is a little shocking for Flo.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that. I'll get back to you. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, and it's not a suspension thing because if it was a suspension thing, then he wouldn't have any mounts. Or unfortunately, I shouldn't even say like a COVID thing because if it was a COVID thing, he wouldn't have any mounts at all this weekend. So we don't really know. It could be just a situation that maybe some out-of-town riders are coming in and they have connections. That's possible. But again, Flo Giroux is Flo. So that is shocking. It's not like I'm not going to give off some other names. It's, for example, it's not like Orlando Mojica that's going to lose mounts. Like Flo is Flo. So, yeah, that is a good question. Honestly, we don't really have a good answer. Unfortunately, who knows? Maybe Flo didn't give one of his better rides and some people are moving on. I don't know. That's just my guess. I have no idea. Without further ado, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, Racing Dudes, a few news and notes. Go to racingdudes.com. My article's up there for Oaklawn. We've been killing Oaklawn. We were going through a rut. And then, of course, we get hot at Oaklawn. And what do they do? One of the worst storms of all time in Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana. I think they got rain there. Nebraska, everywhere, all over. So we're put on pause. But what did that give me an opportunity to do? Kind of go back to the drawing board and keep drawing things up. So make sure you guys get to that. Free information from Gulfstream in that article as well. So I'm really giving you guys a lot. Put a lot of time and effort into this. Aaron has every track. not only does he have every track going, he's still trying to deal with developers and making sure you guys are all handled subscriber-wise, email-wise, customer retention-wise, everything you guys can think of. Aaron and Jared and Magic are working on it. I'm not going to take any credit for it because I'm not working on it. Yeah, Mark says we're back in school now. Yeah, 60 degrees. That's what you guys should be dealing with. Aaron, thumbs up. I could see the sun is beaming in brightly from his shades to his right. We're looking at him on the left side. So, yeah, no, it should be a great day there. The track, I'm sure, is all thought out. It's all safe, ready to go to Oaklawn. So good luck to everyone playing today. We will see you guys tomorrow with tons of action. Have your past performances for Oaklawn ready to go. And if you get a chance, take a look at your stakes action as well, because we'll be highlighting stakes action from all over the country, specifically Gulfstream and Oaklawn. So if you guys get a chance to take a look at those a little bit early or jot some notes down, please do. We love the comments, interactions, and the feedback. We will see you guys tomorrow bright and early, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We will see you tomorrow. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and good luck from wherever you're playing today on Thursday afternoon. Take care, everyone.